Introduction. Batangas is a first-class province located on southwestern part of Luzon. It is also known for the most popular tourist destination near Metro Manila. Fantasy World, also known as the Disney World of the Philippines, was meant to be the rival of the International Amusement Park. However, Fantasy World was just became a dream because of the financial issues. Site evaluation, province, city, municipality, Lemery, Batangas, site attraction, Fantasy World, site classification, exist. Vision, Fantasy World will be recognized as a place where you can escape reality. We want to develop Fantasy World because of its own beauty and has own ambience that you want to stay in the Fantasy World.
Problem identification in terms of activities. As of now, no other activities can be done inside Fantasy World except taking pictures and exploring the site. Because some rides does not operate and it was never tested for failure.
For the first problem identification of the environment, many trees were felled because of some passing storms that we experienced. Second, Fantasy World is a forest before it became a version of Disneyland. But construction had long stopped years ago, so that the town's very own Disneyland remains unfinished. And for the last problem identification of the environment, Fantasy World is close to Taal volcano. So, when the volcano erupts, it is one place that can be affected.
In problem identification, the accessibilities are traffic, public transportation, and road. Most of the buses take us to Batangas in Fantasy World will experience the traffic because it is one of the problem every time we travel. In public transportation, that will be use of having disadvantage and advantage over the vehicles where it's located.
We have three weaknesses, and these are old structures, few staff, and lack of promotions. Weakness to opportunities interpretation. Fantasy World has few staff that can't accommodate a number of visitors. And if the site will gain more tourists, it will need more employees, so it will offer
Opportunities that the group observes in the site is number one. It is a good place for shooting movies, vlogs, and teleseries. In fact, some of the famous teleseries was shot inside Fantasy World, like Mahika, The World of Saladin, starring Angel Locsin and Dennis Trillo, and Got to Believe, starring Claudine Barreto and the late Rico Yan. Number two, if Fantasy World was built completely and officially open to the public, it could be the biggest theme park in the Philippines. Number 3. Provide job opportunities. Invitation for strength to opportunities. Since the site is ideal for shooting movies, teleseries, and vlogs, it can help to attract more visitors when this site will be featured. And if only could this site was built completely, it will be like the Disneyland of the Philippines.
Threats. In interpretation, in Fantasy World, tourists why will not consider the site as one of destination that they will visit in Batangas because in all the structure. The less number of staff can accommodate a lot of visitors that need to assist them. And also that Fantasy World is a lack of promotion, so the number of visitors affected.
The strategy matrix goal number 1, provide high-quality service. Our objective is to provide high-quality service, fulfill visitors, educational tours, and physical needs. Our strategy is to establish hotels, restaurants, event place, and family or group of entertainment center. Hire or train young professionals and give an assurance of security and safety for the tourists. Our objective number 2, provide more amenities and facilities inside Fantasy World. Our strategy is to provide locker for tourists and employees. Strategy number 2, make an agreement to other business like food stalls and games facilities. Our strategy number 3 is to provide good ambience to the visitors.
For the goal number 1 in objectives number 3, develop the construction of the site and structure. For the strategy number 1, add more restroom because it is fundamental to human dignity and especially critical for people who are restroom challenged. Strategy number 2, build a food court where they can have their snacks after exploring Fantasy World. And for our last strategy, establish places for children to improve their collaboration skills and to give them a lifelong help.
Strategy matrix. For goal number 2, renovation of the current facilities and structure. For objective for goal number 2 is 1, refurbishment of the site of the old structure. Number 2, improving the use of technology. Strategy that we made for goal number 2 is first, to build the new structure for the attract tourists and need the quality materials for the use in renovation. The second is, hire the engineer to study the blueprint of Fantasy World. We need to provide the ticket machine and tracking to the device of the planning a project before executing.
Number 3. Developing integrated infrastructure for tourist development. Strategies for objective number 3. Combine rides, facilities for employees, arcades or fun games with prizes.
For goal number 3, site promotion. Objective number 1, strong site promotion is absolutely necessary to attract more tourists. And for the strategies for objective number 1, first, using the social media platform as it serves as an ideal means to reach people and promote widely. Second, work with famous influencers to promote the site. Their followers tend to be loyal and trust the influencer's opinion more than they would trust an organization. Lastly, by partnering with famous influencer, it will be a big help to promote the site across different platforms, even to niche audiences, who are then significantly more likely to react positively to the content or what is being promoted by the influencer. Objective number 2, create more additional activities. Strategies for objective number 2. First, add more rides and other recreational activities in the fantasy world. Second, hire performers like fire dancers, magicians, and mascot shows. Lastly, once-a-week shows like gigs and firework display.
Criteria number 4. Availability of basic utilities. Availability of utilities for the clean water supply, it obtained 2 ratings. We're not really sure if the attraction have a water supply, but the attraction had a fountain, so we think that they have a water supplies but not clean enough. For the communication, it obtained 3 ratings because most of the tourists say that the attraction has a poor signal. For the solid waste management, it obtained 4 ratings. One of the things you recognize right away you being here is just how nicely kept the gardens are and how nicely landscaped it is. It's very clean. You won't find any trash or litter laying anywhere. Everything is nice and neatly.
Criteria 5. Availability of on-site facilities. This site is good for family, friends, and the people love for Mala Fantasy World and who like to see the different castle. In these facilities, they offer a medieval featuring structure castle, a rope, bridge, and snack. And this site is good facilities and the quality food of service. And also they have a signage for information and direction of this place.
For criteria number 6, local government owned, it's not owned by a local government because this park is owned by a businessman. Privately owned, managed or leased, this place is privately owned by ECE Realty and Development, held by Emilio Ching. It is a 100% Filipino-owned corporation, which has incorporated on March 22, 1991 with the Securities and Exchange Commission. Under CARP or CARPable, it is not under of Comprehensive Agrarian Reform Law because the businessman who backed the project ran into financial issues before construction was complete, forcing him to abandon his plan. With tenants or residents, tenant and residents are not included in this abandoned castle in Batangas. The park is not open as of now, but you can walk across the rope of bridge that leads to the park's treehouse, which offers beautiful views of the local scenery. Ancestral domain or land claimants. It is not ancestral domain or land claimants because this land it is not the territories and resources of indigenous people.
Criteria number 7, quality of surroundings. For landfill and dump site, there are no reports about landfill or dump site in the area. And for mining site, there is also no mining activities in the site. For informal settlements, there are no reports about informal settlements in the site since it is situated in the middle of a forest. Fantasy World passed the beautiful vista or view according to the feedbacks of visitors and other organizations who visited the site and conducted a research about the area.
Conclusion: the tourists will enjoy the different kinds of attraction. There are also a possibility that many tourists will come. They can cause problems, especially environment, if they are not disciplined. The disturbance of the volcano can affect the chain of natural calamities like earthquake or volcanic ashes.